Sup nerds, today we have Yellow Hybrid versus Blue Base Melga. Brandon won the direwolf, so he's going first. He hatches the Bukamon and then evos into Gabu X for 1. I hatch my Yoko, evo into Solar. And then play Zoe. Take a little peek at my security. I do see 2 Gaia Forces in there, which is pretty good. Alright, so Brandon promotes. Evos into Garu for 2. Evos into Garu X for 0. Draws 2, trashes 2. Gains a memory. Swings, draws a card, does have jamming. Checks a Zoe. I already know there's not a target in there. You do have to shuffle your security, unfortunately, so I picked it up and just shuffled it without even looking at it. Brandon activates Cool Boy, adds Gabu X to hand, chokes me to 1. I promote. Then I Gaia Force and give him 7. I force him to rebuild in the raising area. Alright, so he hatches, evos into Gabu. Hard plays Gabu. Evos into Gabu X for 0. Taps Cool Boy, gains memory, draws a card. Triggers Gabu, searches top 4. Adds Garu and Garu X. Trashes a card. Activates Mental Training. Adds Melga X. Activates Mental Training. Adds Gabu X. He hard plays Gabu X, searches top 4. Gets to add the 1-of promo and then the BT5 Garu. And trashes the BT5 Garu. I hatch my Koro. Evo into Solar. Hard play Magna, recover, and then minus 5k on the Gabu X with a source. He promotes. Pops Mental, evos into Garu for 0. Evos into Garu X for 0. Draws 2, trashes 2. Gains a memory. Triggers Cool Boy. Gains a memory and draws a card. Pops Training, evos into the promo for 1. Swing, unsuspends draw, has jamming. Checks Kari. Activates X Antibody. Swing, draw, trigger X Annie, evo into Wear X for 1. Trigger Wear X effect to trash 2 cards to unsuspend itself. 2 checks, jamming. And he gets to add a card back here. Alright, and then he checks a Tying Kari and a Seraphi, but he has jamming. Swings again, draws again, 2 checks, jamming. Gaia Force, boom. So that means I know that my last security is Gaia Force. Brandon activates Agility Training, or Mental Training, I mean. Swings, checks the Gaia Force, sad. Unfortunately, my Gaia Forces were the last 2 cards in my security. That was pretty disappointing. Then he plays Gabumon, searches top 3. Adds starter deck to Melga. I get a memory from Tying Kari, beginning a turn, and I promote my Solar. Evo into Zephyr for 2. And I'm in a bit of a pickle here. I can't actually out that Gabumon with the Magna Ace in my hand. Because it will only minus 1000 DP. It won't pass turn, but then I still don't have a guaranteed way of getting it off the field. So I just Evo into Shadow Seraphi for 4, set him to 2. And obviously I have a Blast Ace in my hand. I'm going to hope for the best. He hatches Buko, Evos into Gabu. At this point, Chris leans over and is like, "What are you doing? Just attack. He doesn't have blocker or security." LOL. Brandon Evos into Gabu X, triggers Cool Boy to gain memory and draw a card, triggers Gabu to search top 4, adds 2, has to discard 1, discards that card instead. Evos into Garu for 2 and then gains a memory. Evos into Garu X, draws 2, trashes 2, so he is going to deck out here if he doesn't kill me. Evos into Wear for 3. Obviously, Brandon is operating under the assumption that I have Magna Angemon Ace in my hand. Although it would be hilarious if I were just bluffing it and forced him to do all this stuff for no reason. So he's swinging, trashes a card, unsuspends. Alright. Blast Evo, I recover. Minus 1k. The check goes through. So I think we actually did this backwards. So what we did is we triggered Shadow Seraphi first, and de-evoed Brandon's stack, and then triggered the Crimson Blaze. I think the Crimson Blaze is actually the first thing that happens. So the Shadow Seraphi would have de-evoed after the Crimson Blaze went off. The Crimson Blaze would have whiffed on the wear because the wear would have been 7k, and it would have got de-evoed, but he would have been unsuspended and he just would have swung for lethal. So I think we goobered that up a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you guys disagree with that. But we do take game 1. Chet counter 1 question mark. By the way, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you're interested in my yellow hybrid deck profile, the link will be in the pinned comment below. Alright, so Brandon makes me go first for game 2. I hatch Koro, Evo into Solar. Play Zoe, take a Scourge. Oh, we do have a target. Add Kazi. Brandon is so impatient. Hatches his Buka, Evos into Gabu, Evos into Garu X. Evos into the promo wear. The one of. I just hard play Magna Angemon, recover 1. He promotes. He swings, unsuspends, draws a card, checks a Trident Gaia, go boom. He can't play Mental Training, he has no blue sources, lol. Hard plays Gabumon, searches top 3, adds Garu X. Evo into Shadow Seraphi for 4, set him to 3. He hatches Bukamon. Plays the Mental Training. Reveals both Omnis. Can't add either. Now they're going to the bottom of his deck. Lol. Pain. That's so funny. Evos into Gabu X for 1. Swings Gabumon. It dies. Then Evos into Garu for 2. Alright, so I promote Evo into Ruin Mode for 5, minus 5k on his field. So that was actually a mistake. I ended up actually cutting the Ruin Modes in the final version of this deck. That's in the deck profile in the pinned comment. Shadow Seraphi is much better of a Floodgate than Ruin Mode in this deck, because Shadow Seraphi is always going to be a Floodgate no matter what. He just lasts forever until they out him, whereas Ruin Mode is only good for 2 turns. So he activates Analog Youth, searches, adds Melga X, Evos into Garu X and Raising. Evos into Sagittarius mode. I hatch my Koro. So I do have the Ace overflow as well when my Ruin Mode deletes itself. So yeah, I ended up cutting it. It wasn't a good card. Swing with Solar, draw a card, it dies. Evo into Gatsumon. It will choke him to 1. And minus him by 5k, but he's going to have jamming from the Bukamon, so it's not going to feel super awesome. I would have much rather forced him to out the Shadow Seraphi. So I swing 15k, survived, deletes himself, Ace Overflow, his turn. He promotes. The minus 5k is only relevant if he checks a Crimson Blaze. So he swings, draws a card, checks Zoe. No targets. I believe there is a Gaia Force in there, though. Evos into Wear X for 1. Triggers Cool Boy, gains memory, draws a card. Triggers Wear X effect. Trashes 2 cards to unsuspend. Gets to add a card back. I guess he's thinking between those two, because he can't add both. He adds the one of, makes sense. And he survives the check because he has jamming. Activates Cool Boy, chokes me to 1. Adds the Garu X. Alright. I draw, promote, Gaia Force. I do it again. Set him to 7. He hatches Bukamon. Evo's into Gabu. Evo's into Garu for 2. Then Evo's into Wear for 3. Then plays Gabu X for 3. Max value. Does have to discard a card here. Discards the Melga. Chokes me to 1. I hatch my Koro. I swing security. Draw off the Koro. It dies. Then I play Magna Angemon. Recover. And then kill his Gabumon. He promotes. He swings, unsuspends, draws a card. Survives because he has jamming. Activates X Antibody. Swings, draws, triggers X Antibody. Evos into Wear X for 1, triggers Wear X effect, discards 2 cards to unsuspend. Gets to add a card back, adds the Wear. And then double Cool Boy, gains 2 memory, draws 2 cards. 2 checks, survives both. This is very annoying. I know the guy forces the last card again. Pops the mental, evos into Melgo for 2. He swings, unsuspends, draws a card. It's Guy Force, boom. Once again, it would have been much better for me if that were checked earlier. Him putting me to 0 security is really bad. He plays Gabumon, chokes me to 1. I draw, and don't have any other choice. Gaia Force, give him 7. He hatches Buka, evos into Gabu. Hard plays Garu for 4, goes to 3. Yeah, if I'd had the Shadow Seraphi out, it would have been much harder for him to power through my security like that. He activates Mental Training. He goes into Gabu X in Raising. He's getting very low in his deck. Pops the Mental Training that was already on the field. Evos into Sagittarius mode for 1. And then evos into Wear X for 1. And gets to add a card back. And then I hard play Magna Angemon Ace, recover 1. It's literally all I can do. I don't think there's a card that actually saves me here. So he activates X Antibody, evos, or activates Mental Training, evos, yeah. Okay. Alright. So he Blitz Omnis, triggers X Antibody, evos into Omni X, trashes the last card in security. After the Melga X, bounces both my Magna Angemon Aces. He gets 6 memory back, all that, yada yada yada. Brandon takes game 2. So we do go to game 3 here. Alright, so I make Brandon go first for game 3. He hatches, evos into Gabu, plays Mental Training. Adds the memory boost. I hatch Koro, evo into Gatsu. Play Kari, set him to 2. He swings, has jamming, must be nice. Activates Cool Boy. Adds Gabu X. Plays Memory Boost. Adds the one of. Seeing it like it's his job. I promote. I Magna Ace. Recover. Tap Kari minus his Gabumon by a bunch. Then Evo into Shadow Seraphi. He hatches Buka. Evos into Gabu. Hard plays Gabumon. Searches top 3. Adds the Wear. Evos into Gabu X. Searches top 4. Max value. Are we going to trigger Cool Boy? Discards a card. Triggers Cool Boy. Gains memory, draws a card. And evos into Garu for 2. And Wear for 3. So I hatch. At this point, I'm trying to play around the Sagittarius and the Melga Ace from bouncing my board. So Evo into Kazi, Evo into Solar, then Evo into Jet for 1, recover. Brandon, for some reason, thinks it's his turn, even though the gauge is at 0. And then I hard play Solar to set him to 3. He swings. He doesn't get de-evoed. Yeah, he dies to the check. It doesn't get de-evoed. Shadow Seraphi can't de-evo level 3s. That is one of the rules of that keyword. Brandon out here potatoing. So evos into Sagittarius mode and Raising. Evos into Wear X and Raising for 1. Then evos into Melga for 4. Set me to 2. I draw. I promote. I hard play Zephyr for 6 to give him 4. This way, if he does not promote this turn and doesn't do something to my board, I'm just going to lethal him on my turn. Because I have 6 swings, he doesn't play removal. So he promotes. Activates X Antibody. Swings. Triggers X Annie. Evos into Melga X. Unsuspends. Bounces all of my rookies back to my hand. Triggers Cool Boy. Gains memory. Draws a card. Checks Magna Ace, Shadow Seraphi de-evos him. He swings, unsuspends by his... or triggers X Antibody. Evos into Melga X, unsuspends, bounces my Zephyr back to my hand. Check goes through, and then he gets de-evoed by Shadow Seraphi. And at this point, I say, Brandon, how many cards do you have? And he says, oh, a whole bunch. And I'm like, bro, you should have been swinging for 2 checks this whole time, you potato. So we have to repair the game state. Yeah. So he got de-evoed for each check on the first swing. And the Zephyr's back in my hand. So now he's popping the mental training, evoing into Melga X for 2, unsuspending, and bouncing my Zephyr back to my hand. And now we are good. How do you forget the 1-of card? It's the best card in the deck. Pops Min Boost, goes to 3. He swings, triggers X-Ante, evos into Omni-X. Omni-X bot decks my Shadow. He gains 3 memory from Ace Overflow. He triggers Wear X Inheritable, trashes a card to unsuspend, and then he is going to trigger Omni-X's effect here in just a moment once he realizes. So he bot decks the Melga X, gets a look at my security, pops out the Gaia Force, and then swings for 2 checks, and he's unsuspended, so he swings again for lethal. So Brandon does take it 2-1. Thankfully, I reminded him about his security attack +1. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.